Great. So I've read everything you sent me and it's fascinating.
I was thinking about it. I mean, it's funny. I have a supervisor who she's brilliant and she's been practicing since the 1960s, but she has her own mental health struggles. And she was like, make sure to tell him that you're not that crazy. Like, you know.
I trust that. You
I
know,
mean, I think one of the interesting things about my situation is that I I do in fact I seem to be holding the material realm pretty together. I have a family and I have a business and whatever, a life I've created. And then also I have this whole other part that's connected to what feels like it's connected to something much larger. And what's confusing is that I can't tell if it's I'm just crazy or am I just do I think I'm the center of the universe somehow? Is this some kind of regression? Um, or is there something that I'm actually tapped into? And then what's actually myself? What's actually um, you know, it's an identity crisis of some sort.
I get that. And maybe tell me again what happens when that part takes over.
Well, I think it's worth explaining just like I'm 49 years old and I got diagnosed bipolar when I was 18. And the context is that that part taking over, the first time that part took over, the police found me walking on the subway tracks and I was convinced that the world had ended and that I was just like being broadcast on some version of television, some kind of universal television. And I had, so that's the dramatic version of it.
Mhm.
Um, and then, I mean, well, back in December, I wrote to you after this, and I really I'm so appreciative that you wrote back because you could have just read it and said, "Wow, this guy's kind of out there." Um, but I had this experience in December that was a what I think of as a spontaneous unburdening. I had gone through a hard period where I'd been fired from my teaching job because a student said that I was racist. And that stirred up all the stuff in me that, I like my like worthlessness was all like exposed and gleaming. And and I think that having that be so extreme, I had what felt to me like an unburdening. Like I had like these old shame parts, basically this like war between my mother and my father, um, kind of came unbound and I felt free. Um, but that experience happened, and then shortly after that, I started getting this kind of expansive, this feeling like, I mean, what does it look like? It looks like all of a sudden the music that's playing on the shuffle on my phone is like just exactly the right music, and it feels like that there's a force that's like talking to me through the music that I'm listening to. And I go outside and I see billboards, you know, on the street, and I'll read them, and I'll have the sense that I can look right through them and I can see uh they're what they're saying, but I can see this layer underneath them. And the radio will be playing and I will get the sense that I'm being spoken to. So it's that kind of thing.
And how does that make you act in the outside world?
Well, it feels really good. It feels really good to feel so special,
Right?
and I have this sense, and I have the sense of, oh, they say I'm crazy, but actually, like this whole time I've been right all along. I've been right all along. Um, time as a construct, it shifts, and all of a sudden I'm like, we're not, like I go from feeling like we're running out of time to like, oh, time is infinite. Actually, I can step out of it. I can go back. I, and in these states, it sounds pretty crazy, but it's like if I can control it and not let it overtake me, which is pretty much what I've seems like I've learned how to do. Boy, I'm really good at being really present with people and going into their pasts and helping them deal.
Okay, so at least this time it didn't interfere with you being sort of quote unquote normal in the outside world. It was just a kind of feeling like you're special and everything's great in the inner world.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not like I was running through the streets, but but it 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 you you plan life a little differently if you feel like, you have an infinite number of lives and you're not gonna die, like that's you have like, and it doesn't really line up that well with having young children, which is what I have. Maybe you become a really exciting dad that's like has an easy time connecting with your kids and playing, but in terms of like making plans for the long term, I mean, I think a big piece of this is my my relationship with my father died the night before my bar mitzvah, right? So like, and that's the big wound in me. I have these like exiled parts that are like terrified of death, terrified of getting sick and old. Um, and when that terror goes away, oh, it's great. I mean, it's great. So that gets to the crux of this thing. What's myself, and what's a part that, you know, it like is connected to this kind of like greater narrative.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. So, and then that part that can make you feel so special and good left at some point recently. Is that true?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I had dinner with an old friend of my dad's, this guy who works in Hollywood and entertainment, who's worked with all these, very famous, powerful people. And I sat down with him and I wanted to talk to him about my dad, and we started talking, and I don't know, there was something about, he's like a very interesting guy, but he was like, "Yeah, Sasha, I'm an atheist. In any, I don't believe in any higher powers. Like this is all there is." And I think that's probably what my dad would have said, you know? That's probably my dad was beaten by nuns in Catholic school. You know, like they just like turned him into a Marxist and a materialist. And I feel like that's the man that raised me. And that did something, I don't know, it like helped me come down in this way where because I've, you know, yeah, I mean, I think I have like these young parts that want to feel protected or whatever, you know? Um,
But since then, you've been feeling okay, not as high, but feeling okay.
yeah, yeah. I think the conclusion that I came to, and I was saying this all, I mean, it's kind of amazing actually. I'm I turn the camera over there, you'd see I have like 30 years of my journals. I've been like keeping track of my life really well for a long time. And I think I've finally gotten to the part where I'm not that specter of getting hospitalized is not so much there anymore. It's not like I don't have issues. I have plenty of issues. Um, but yeah, I've the the conclusion that I've been coming to is that if if I'm able to have a life where I experience such like epic I mean, like just this backyard here. For the whole summer, I was like talking to the animals and the butterflies, and like I was like in this very like animist kind of place, like then I'd come in and talk to a client or whatever, and then I'd go back to my magical reality out there. I'm not doing that now. I miss it, but I feel like the way, like what I'm supposed to do with it, if there's some supposed to, you know, is I'm supposed to translate this somehow
Yeah.
into something for other people who go through these kinds of things and have a hard time navigating them.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of my interest too. So, um, given that, do you want to do a piece of work and see if we can find the part that does that for you?
I would love to.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, so I hear it's not close by right now, but think you could just focus on your memory of it and just see where you find it in your body or around your body.
Yeah, it's like I feel it like almost as if it's around like me, but like a bigger version of me, you know. Like I feel my back like stretching out through my shirt, like it's like this larger than life version of me.
So as you notice it like that, how do you feel toward it?
It's a mix of things. I feel there's like a warmth, but there's like a real sadness, like there's a real I mean, I have a part that's like, why do you always have to go? You know? Like that part is there.
Why does it have to leave, you mean?
Yeah.
What's the part that misses it?
Yeah. There's a part that misses it. There's a
Okay,
part that's like, yeah, why do you have to leave? I mean, in the way that my kids are like constantly like, where are you going, Dada?
right.
It's like something like that.
Okay. So there's a part that really relies on it and really loves it when it's there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's very confusing. It's a confusing thing to have. I almost think of it like the the part that comes and it's just like offering the kids lots of just like support. I'm not like when that part is around, I don't have to worry about anything.
That's right. Yeah.
No, it's like that.
So it makes sense that that part would miss it, but let's ask it to step back a little bit so we could just get to know it, see if it's willing.
Yeah, it's willing for sure. It can step back and just be there, like you know. It wants to say it almost is like trying to that part almost is like, yeah, I'll step back, but just so you know, there's like all this pain here, there's this
Huh?
all like there's all this pain, like you better not forget about all this pain.
I promise we won't forget. Yeah. We'll come back to it if we have time. Yeah. So now how do you feel toward the one that can make you feel so good?
I feel really I feel really I think there's another part coming up. I mean, I was gonna say like, oh, I feel really good, but there's this other part that's coming up that's like just confused because it's like I thought that was me,
Right.
you know?
I do get that too, but for now anyway, let's just assume it's just a part and ask that one to give us some space too to just get to know it better.
Yeah, okay. The space has been granted.
Appreciate it. And now how do you feel toward it?
Feel there's this other part that's coming up too that just wants to have its voice, that just wants to have its voice. That's like
Right, what you saying?
it, it's like a it's like a it's like a cluster of what I think of as like female parts that are like like holding a bunch of resentment that are like not really um that I think are like we all been pretty good with each other in here. Um but this like cluster of parts just like it's like wants you to know if you're coming in here and you're like looking at what's going on in the system, not everyone is just like, oh, this guy's so great. You
I was
know?
waiting for those parts.
Yeah.
So, so let them know we understand and yeah, that there's been a price to pay for relying on it. And but ask them also to let us get to know it.
Okay. Well, they're all kind of taking their seat behind the table.
So
Yeah.
now how do you feel toward it?
I was gonna say I feel curious. I was gonna say I feel, like really open, but there's this other part I can feel that's coming up that's like it's almost like I feel it right here and it's like holding my it's like I'm not really sure. It's like scared of it. I'm not really even sure what that is. What's going on here?
Yeah, yeah, just ask.
Um, you know what it is? I think it's kind of it's like the same part that it just feels the kind of enormity of the situation. Like here we are face to face with this part. Dick Schwartz is standing here asking us what do we what do we do? And how do you feel? Well, a little fucking scared, A little like a little fucking scared.
So let her know we get that and the reason, but is it willing also to give us some space? We can talk to it later too.
Yeah, yeah, he's willing to step back. I'll tell you, there's this do you know what a jacaranda tree is?
No.
They grow out here in LA a lot. They're beautiful. They have these beautiful purple blossoms. There's a jacaranda tree in the backyard here, and the blossoms have already that come and gone, but there's this one branch of the tree that kind of, as I sit here at my desk, it kind of sways, and it's like a little reminder to me. It, when we're talking about this part isn't just like I would love to really be able to understand it, but as far as I can tell, this part isn't just a part. This part is like connected to the whole thing somehow.
Well, it
you know.
could be a part that is connected. It's possible. We just don't know yet. So are they willing to let you get curious about that?
I'm so curious about it.
Okay, good.
I'm
All
so
right. So let it know. You just want to know what it wants you to know and just see what it says. Just don't try to think. Just wait and see what comes from it.
okay. Well, this is what it says. I I am the beginning and the end. I am the light and the dark. I am the all the forces put together into the light. I am what binds you to this earth, and you are looking at me as if I am some kind of a part, but I am way more than a part. I am I am like I am something way bigger than you. Something like that. It's like a
Okay. All right. So how do you feel toward it as it tells you that?
it's on that sounds about right. That feels like that feels like that's I wouldn't expect anything less from this part.
Okay. But, ask it what it tries to do for you in there, or what it's afraid would happen if it didn't come in this big way.
Man, what what it's afraid what would happen. It doesn't feel like it feels like it comes in when it can come in. When there's like an opening to be
Okay.
able to come in.
So ask it about that. Why was there an opening in December?
It was like all these things lined up at the same time. I turned 49, which was the age that my dad was when he died. Um, and it's Christmas time. It's like the time of year. It's like when the ghosts come out. And you know, I think what's tricky about just being able to go in there and connect is that it's like it's almost it's like when you're trying to talk to someone who's just like in their like greater myth of whatever, and you're like you're trying to get a feeling for it, and they're just off.
Would it be easier if I talked to it?
Sure, sure,
Okay.
sure. Yeah, you could, yeah.
Are
Dick
you,
Schwartz talk to this part inside of me for sure.
all right. So are you willing to talk to me?
Yeah.
Okay. So you've been in and out of Sasha's life, is that right? There have been times where you have access to him and other times where he shuts you out.
I've been Sasha is just like, you know, a mortal just like anybody else. I've been around for way longer than that. So,
I trust that. I'm just saying you haven't had access to him throughout. There have been times where you have and times when you haven't.
yeah, I've gotten access, and then, you know, they lock him up and they pump him full of drugs, and then the access goes away.
And what's that like for you when you get shut out?
I I don't know how to answer that. I'm not sure how to answer that. I don't feel I'm what's it? what's it like for me?
Yeah. And it sounds like you're glad when you can have access to him. It feels good to you somehow.
Yeah. You know, it's like it's tricky. This is tricky. It like as I'm as you're asking me that question, I see things in front of me like images of childhood, Sasha's childhood, uh, and the kind of relationship he had with his father. But I don't see myself as mortal. I see myself as like connected to something much greater. So I'm like not, I don't, when when Sasha takes me in, um, it's I'm not like, oh yes, I need to be in or yes, I need to be out. I'm just here.
Okay. But he has parts that rely on you a lot, sounds like.
Yeah.
And and from one of the parts that spoke earlier, it sounds like you have the ability to get them away from the pain that they carry.
I I want what's best for him.
I trust that, I really do. And so if you can make him feel better, then that feels good to you.
Yeah. Yeah, but sometimes I can't make him feel better and he struggles for a long time. He has whole periods of time where he struggles.
Yeah.
I don't want him to I want him to figure out how to be solid on his own. I
So you
want
don't
him
want him to rely on you as much as he does.
Yeah, I want him to know that I'm here, but I don't want to have to come in and
Look over the way you do.
yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. So if he was able to heal a lot of the pain that's still there, would that make it easier for you not to have to do that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think he wouldn't need me to come in. I just
Right.
want I just I'm like saying these words to you and it's almost as if the the part the there's like the part and then there's what the part is connected to somehow. And I want I think I don't know who's talking right now, but
Just go ahead.
the it was such a heartbreak to be a kid who lost his dad and
Mhm.
then had to fucking figure out like how to be connected in the world. It was such a heartbreak to go through life feeling so lonely. And when I found, I don't know, it was probably being 15 years old and smoking some weed and finding something inside of my brain that helped me connect to something else. That that really that helped, you know?
Yeah.
And I think the the thing that speaking from myself, one of the things that's like really like clear to me when I like what I understand about the IFS model is that self doesn't have an agenda and the forces that like I was raised around people who had some serious fucking agendas. I have like some serious like you have to be really special. You have to do things in the world to be able to just feel dignity. And if you don't do those things, you don't deserve to be dignified. And that's not like what my parents actually said to me, but that is the message that of the way that I was raised and the culture that I was raised in. And so I've spent a lot of years like doing a lot of things to make myself like feel like I'm like dignified to like, and it's very confusing. Like, what's the like, what are the parts that are like, that are guiding me to do things? Have all the things that I've done, have I just done them because I was trying to not feel the pain of worthlessness? Like, that's what comes up for me. And when I try and come face to face with this part does not feel like it's not it's not like, I guess what I'm trying to say is this part isn't like the way my dad would have been like, you need to be doing these things in the world, you need to be an important person. This part just feels important. This part just feels like it's
I get
fucking,
that. I get
yeah,
all of it. And it can make you feel that way, which counters the worthlessness.
right.
So, but if we could unload the worthlessness, then this one, it said it didn't want you to have to rely on it so much. So if we could heal the worthlessness, then maybe that could be the case.
I mean, that seems right to me. I mean, seemed like what's confusing, there's so many like little knots of confusion, but one of them is just like it felt very much like I had unburdened a bunch of things, and then this part kind of came into me, you know?
Yeah, that's possible, but it seems like it was just saying that it's still protecting you from certain feelings. So, uh, and you saw some scenes, and so if you want to, with the time we have left, we could go and see what we could do with those parts.
Let's do it then.
Okay, make sure this guy says okay.
This guy's doesn't feel I don't think he feels, I think he feels very open.
All right, good. So where would we get our biggest bang for our buck in terms of part that feels worthless still or it carries a lot of pain?
I mean, the stuff that comes up in my life these days is all around being like like trying to, it's about being in a relationship with my partner and raising kids and trying to stay organized and constantly feeling like I'm disorganized and that I can't hold things together the way I want to, and having this like this critical person feels like she's constantly telling me I'm like, you know, I can't keep it together, which is all the same. It's all the same stuff. It's all the feeling like a little kid and feeling like I'm not I can't, my mind doesn't work in the ways that the other kids' minds work. And I'm,
So, so maybe focus on that kid and find him in your body, around your body.
yeah, it's like in my rib cage somewhere.
How do you feel toward him?
I love him. I feel, I feel like he, he, he's got nothing but, not nothing but love and compassion for me.
So let him know that you love him and see how he reacts.
It's like it's like a little tadpole. I mean, Mike, he's grateful for, he's grateful for the love and appreciation.
And ask if he feels like you understand what it was like for him back there.
Um, yeah, I mean, I I spend I spend more time than most going back and trying to understand what happened to him, you know.
Okay, I get that, but ask him if he does feel like you get it, or if there's more he wants you to know. And wait for the answer from him.
There's more he wants me to know.
Okay, so tell him to let you get how bad it was, as much as he needs you to, and just stay with it, Sasha. And don't try and think, just wait and see what comes. Yeah, just stay with it. Tell him it's okay to really let you feel it now. It's great. Just stay with it.
Yeah.
It's really good. Just keep going. Really good. We really want to know how horrible it was.
He wants to get out of there. He wants to get out of there. Can we
We'll,
like get out of here?
we'll get him out of there. But ask now if he does feel like you get everything he wants you to.
Yes.
He says yes. All right, Sasha. So go to him in that time period and be with him in the way he needed somebody. Tell me when you're there.
Okay, I'm there.
How are you being with him?
I am. I'm holding him.
Good. How's he reacting?
He's grateful. He's holding on to me back.
Good.
Ah,
Let's just stay like that for a little while back there.
okay.
Matt, ask him if there's anything he needs you to do with him or for him back there before we take him to a good place.
There's there's a there's a weird there's a weird parallel universe. There's two different apartments. They both have television sets. Oh, there's it's like they're underwater. It's like I've been going back there I've been going back for so many years, I just go back there and it's just like this that kid just needs to get out of there. He just needs to be somewhere that's not in that. Yeah.
Okay, is he ready to go then?
Yes.
All right, so let's take does he want to go to your home there, or does he want to go to a fantasy place of his choice? Wherever he wants to go, let's take him.
Let's take him out the fucking window, all like like down the street to the Hudson River, and let's just like get rid of all that stuff that he's been holding. He doesn't need to hold any of it anymore. He's like got his fucking fill. He's got his fill. Let's get him like to let go of it, to move on, to like really just like throw into the water what it looks like to me is like it's like a bunch of toys, it's just but it's like medical equipment and fucking screaming, and
Mhm.
it's just like it's like it's not a place. It's not a place for a sensitive little kid. It's like get all that stuff out of there. Like it's like let go of it. It feels like such a relief to let go of, and he can come like journey with me, and we're back in 2024, and like he can come live with me. He can come move in with us, and he can like come move in with my kids and my partner, and he can like have a much happier time. That's what it feels like.
That's
That's
happening.
yeah.
So you did all let it go into the river and he's there with you now?
And he's here with me now. Poof, magic.
How's he doing now?
He's he's just like I don't know. We've been reading this book to my kids about Noah's Ark and like the chameleons in Noah's Ark. They like latch on to Noah and he holds on to them, and it's like something like he's like latched on to me. And I gotta
Good.
I gotta in the book it's like they have to figure out what to feed the chameleons because they don't want to eat anything, and then there's like worms in the pomegranates, and so they realize that the chameleons like to eat the worms. Like I need to figure out what this kid needs, but you know, there was this image that I kept getting that was like I think I tried to write you about it in December, and I mean it's like great that you wrote back because I don't know, it's like not many people would know what to do with a message like that, but the the actual experience I had was I was like in this theater watching this performance of Camina Barada. I think that's how you say it, and it's like all dramatic. And I had this vision of like the island of Manhattan opening up. I was like looking down and I realized that I was this is like the self-like part. I was the savior that needed to save all my parts. And and that sense of like, hey, there's all these, I can save all these parts.
Right.
It made so much sense. It made so much sense. It was a real relief. Um,
But how's this guy doing now?
he's feeling loved. He's feeling loved.
Well, if he wants to, he can invite qualities into his body he'd like to have. Or
Like what?
just whatever he wants. Just ask him.
He's confused. You know, he's been like stuck in front of a television set since like 1983 or something, you know.
Mhm.
It's like I think he wants to feel, you know, feel his body, like feel you know, like actually feel something.
Yeah. So tell them to invite that in.
Hey, why don't you invite a, you know, feeling in your body of actually feeling your body? He's like, what are you talking about? You know, he's like, um, I mean, I think I get the sense that I like he can start to do that, but
Yeah,
I need
might take some time. Yeah,
I can pay attention to him. It'd probably be good for me.
yeah,
Pay attention to this like young part that's been frozen in time since the early 80s.
yeah. But let's now bring in that guy we started with, sort of transcendent guy, and see how he's reacting to this.
You know, he just he just wants to offer what he has. Like it's like I don't know what I feel like saying is it's like what I feel like he's saying to me or saying to you or just saying out loud is like his work his work is done coming in and having
Yeah,
to run the ship. What I mean, it's very confusing, Dick. It's very confusing to like feel like I don't know what it's like for you. It's like you know, I feel like I think there's probably a lot of people who are like me who really struggle with like not having a sense of themselves and needing to find it somewhere else, you know? And I think it it there's there's this Mexican song from the in the 60s. There's a song La Bamba. It's like para bailar la bamba se necesita una poca de gracia. It's like a little bit of grace. You need a little bit of grace to dance La Bamba, you know. I'm not, you know, I'm not the sailor, I'm the captain. I'm the captain. And like there was something very meaningful for me like listening to that in this last round of just being like, oh, I'm like I want to be the captain of my own ship. I
mhm,
don't I don't want to I've spent my fucking life finding other people who were helping me like constantly asking for help from other people and that's like the nature of, you know, I find like that was my leadership style was to be like I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Let me like ask a bunch of people for help and then we make something together. And I so what is that guy doing now? He's like, I don't like the, you know, the tree with the beautiful purple blossoms is out there. The universe is like there. It's like open to me. Like I don't feel it closed.
mhm.
Uh, I feel like it's time to like be the leader of be the leader of my ship, you know, the captain of my ship, and
Okay,
still have access to that greater world.
okay. Um, you know, when we started working with him, there were 4 or 5 parts that came in when I was asking how do you feel toward him? Remember that?
Yeah.
Let's invite all them in too to see how they're reacting to this, if they are.
Okay. Okay. So let's start with you know, the angry women who like exiled him. That because that's what it felt like, is he got like exiled, you
Right.
know. Um, and I think there's been a lot of peace. I mean, I think he left and it's been pretty peaceful. I mean, I haven't like sunken into a depression, you know, I haven't gone that way, which is like kind of what would happen in the past.
Mhm.
So there's that part. There was the part that was like holding on really tight, that was like scared about engaging with him, you
Right.
know, and that part feels better, though that part is still kind of like, okay, well, what are we gonna do now? Like, what, like,
We can talk about that, but yeah,
um, and then there was the part, I'm trying to remember, what was it like? Yeah, there were two other parts.
parts that depended on him a lot.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Right, and like the part that was like, let me show you the wounds,
Right.
you know. Um, I mean, I feel like, yeah, well, I feel like we like dealt with a little bit of dealt with a little bit of that part, that like the exile realm.
So
Um,
just ask if that's true, if that was some of the pain that it was talking about, and if there's a whole lot more.
there's a whole lot. Yeah,
So let it know that you get that.
yeah,
There's a lot more work to do.
yeah, yeah. The thought that I had that slipped my mind, I gotta go soon, is the the well, it's very confusing to feel like you're like, it's very like this stuff is so important to me. It's so important, but to the world, it's not. It just is what it is, It's just like everybody has their everybody has their stuff. But I had this image of, in my dreams, because in my dreams I often go back to the place where I grew up, apartments and stuff. And I was thinking about how, if you ever go to the city of Jerusalem, you'll see there are like these places where people go and they're like, oh, gee, that's where Jesus carried the cross, and like that's where he was. And people make pilgrimages. And in my own mind, I feel like in my own universe, I like have made pilgrimages back to these apartments, my own, my own childhood over and over again. I go back there, and, um, and, and it's just my own universe.
Mhm.
Um, All right, everyone feels good about about
Good, good. So I'm glad we could do this, and like we wrote, it'd be good if I could use it for teaching, if you're okay with that.
yeah, of course.
Right.
Of course. Yeah, I mean, I'd be eh, I'd love to keep talking to you about the kind like that, like how it would be useful, because it's like this, so it's useful for you because it's like the self, like figuring out how to work with these self like parts.
Well, it's figuring out how to work with what otherwise is considered severe mental illness, which it's not. It's just protected parts,
Yeah.
and particular part has access to this cosmic stuff, and but he's really still trying to make you feel better.
Well, I'd love to spend a little time reflecting on this, and and maybe at some point we can continue the conversation.
Yeah, yeah, I'm open. Yeah, and do watch the video and um, send it to me when you're ready.
Of course. Of course. Hey, it's an honor. I really appreciate it.
For me as well, Sasha. It's great to get to know you in person after reading so much of your stuff.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, I'll send you the video and I'll be in touch, and thank you so much.
Thank you.